Yeah, so even though it's true, people pick the books out of the Bible and people actually wrote the books of the Bible and things like that, and they had an influence. My belief is that oftentimes people don't really fully understand what's going on with religions, even if they are following them. And even if they have a hand, like at a higher level, they don't necessarily understand like what's going on. They may actually have a legitimate belief in God, and kind of right on that level, rather than thinking, oh, well, what's some set of arbitrary rules that I can write down that'll cause a certain effect. Now, sometimes people actually do that, right? So I mean, from what I've heard from Scientology, that actually somebody actually sat down and said, how can we control people? How can we create a religion? I don't know if that's completely true, but that's what I've heard. So that one was actually fully engineered. But the way I see it, especially with these religions that are based on, ancient beliefs, religions that have been evolving for thousands and thousands of years, these things are kind of more like an extension to DNA, right? They're a set of rules that are imposed on people, and then they evolve, and the idea, the way the game works is, don't question what the rule is once it's encoded into the religion. Just follow it. And that's why you see that coming up. I saw it, there's 19 years of my life. I saw it a lot of this idea of do not question these things, because if they're part of the religion, just don't question them, right? And there's all sorts of rules for that, right? Because if you could question them, you could just shoot down whatever the thought was, and it wouldn't be stable. It wouldn't actually form a good religion. Now, what about violence and stuff? So people always wonder, well, why if religions preach that you should be nice to people, why do you see a lot of violence that comes out of religions, like the Crusades, okay? Christians, Muslims fighting each other, right? Well, for one thing, you see a lot of violence in general if you watch nature, if you watch killer whales eating sharks, right? There's a lot of violence that's just in nature. There's some inherent. It's basically competition for resources, right? So just like you'll see, dogs run around protecting their territory, or ants having wars with each other, people have this struggle for resources, and it's been going on a long time. What does religion do for society to make it stronger, to make it easier to survive? There's a bunch of stuff, obviously, right? I mean, think about it. If you believe that God is on your side, right? And this is what the Israelites believed. They believed God was on their side when they went to war, and they believed that God had reward for them that went beyond life, beyond like physical life. So for one thing, it kind of puts out of your mind, well, am I fighting on the right side? Is it really, what I'm doing okay? Is it okay for me to go take the resources of this other people, right? Is there any justification for that? Because it seems wrong. Just being a social animal and just having basic kindness instincts, which we have. Dogs actually have that too. Like, we don't want to just be ridiculously mean to other people naturally, right? What can a religion allow you to do that you wouldn't normally want to do? It'll say, well, look, this group of people worships a false god, so they're actually like totally unacceptable. This is how the ancient Israelites believed, right? I'm not talking about modern day Israel. It's a little different. But ancient Israelites, read the Bible. They believed, if there's a group of people that are not following God, purposely not following God, often these people are like really bad, and it's okay to eliminate them, right? So they would go around fighting with tribes and taking over land and stuff, just like any other competitive animal would do, and they use religion to kind of justify that. Another thing is, well, if you feel like you've got a good connection to God and he helps you through like get to an afterlife, basically, you're not as worried about just getting killed. You're right. You're going to battle. You're fighting for a cause. You're not as worried about getting killed. Does that benefit you as an individual? Absolutely not. Right. But it might benefit the society quite a bit, though. Right. So a lot of times in religion, you'll see laws that benefits the society or make it stronger more than the actual individual. And you'll see things coming up like ignore the desires of the flesh. That's a real individual kind of payoff. And pay more attention to this other stuff. Getting along with the people in your society and being nice to them, right? But there's often a clear division. Wouldn't it be nice if religion just said, be nice to everybody in the world no matter what? And I think a few of them do, but for the most part, the ones that kind of were dominant, and again, this is evolutions, the ones that sort of acted almost like a virus and dominated to control and reprogram lots and lots of people, often have an element of, look, if somebody's not a part of this religion, they're not right, and they should either be converted or they're just not as high value as people who are members of the religion, right? And that's why you end up with wars and people fighting over stuff. And in a sense, this is no accident, right? Because a religion that motivates a people to actually go to war and fight and back up their beliefs is one that's more likely to spread just based on evolution. So it tends to take over. So here we are in this state where we've got, an enormous amount of people whose roots, even though religion in many places is kind of fading, right? And it's getting replaced with other ways of thought, right? I mean, it's still like, that's a whole nother story. We've actually got, like, when you're in a country that's democratic, people kind of distort the concept of democracy and they kind of turn that into their own little religion of a sort, right? That's a whole nother story, though. The thing is, it's like we got a lot of Christians, right, in the world. And Christianity, why did it take over so many people? It's a very powerful religion. I don't mean it, not only does it spread fast, but I mean it makes the society more powerful, sometimes more aggressive when they adopt it. And you're going to say, well, what about Christ? He was like a pacifist in his teachings and stuff, but a lot of times they don't pay attention to that part, right? A lot of times people kind of pick and choose what parts of the Bible they want to follow. And when they codify all these stories that are in the, you got 60 books written at all different times. When they actually codify the Bible and filter it down in a certain way, that's what really creates a specific religion. And you'll see that some of the more aggressive ideas and more aggressive religions sort of took over, right? So that's where we are, right? We've got religions that can actually promote war, even though maybe nobody would ever admit it. Anyway, that's my comment on that, on how religion works, why it evolved like it did, and why it's a little bit ironic that something that often has positive ideals, like not killing each other, who are, not killing people who are part of your belief system, or being nice to your family and all this stuff, right? Something that, or not touching people who are sick, right? Something that has a lot of good ideas can also have a lot of warlike ideas. And it's not to say that war is necessarily good or bad. I mean, it made us who we are. I think for the most part, war is bad, and it's getting worse because we're about to be at a place in terms of technology where people can just destroy themselves. But basically, that's the thought. I mean, why is there the irony, and why does religion exist even though it's not true? Like, how did it even evolve, and why is it there? And that's all I want to say on that.